Good morning, everybody. What we'll do is we'll have half an hour. We'll first spend a bit of time on each of the company introductions so that you know what each of these companies do. Then we'll launch into our panel at the end, about 5 minutes of questions at the end. So why don't we start with Rick. Rick, can you tell us a bit about BranchOut? What does BranchOut do?
So BranchOut is the leading career networking service on Facebook. We allow users to unlock their Facebook friend graph to find inside connections for jobs, career networking, sales leads, and so on. We also operate, I think, the largest job board within Facebook with about 3 million jobs and 15,000 internships.
Great. And Rick, so what is the distinction? How do you position yourself versus LinkedIn, which, of course, is a career building site outside of Facebook?
So I think the key differentiator between BranchOut and LinkedIn is, of course, we play on Facebook. So LinkedIn, a great company with about 40 million active users per month, and Facebook has 600 million active users. So we've got a much bigger platform to play on. And I think another differentiator that's important is our UI is very different than LinkedIn. We are bringing some social gaming dynamics into BranchOut, something LinkedIn has not done. Things like career quizzes, badges, leaderboards, things that really are interesting, I think, for a younger generation.
Which is the interesting point. So BranchOut is not necessarily targeting to people who already are on LinkedIn, but it's rather targeting an additional generation, right?
About half of our users right now are importing their LinkedIn info into BranchOut, and I think the other half may not have heard of LinkedIn yet. They may be college-aged kids that have a 1,000-person friend graph already on Facebook and have not used LinkedIn, and they're coming over to BranchOut.
Great, thank you. Amit, can you tell us a bit about Badu?
Sure, and thank you for having me here. So Badu is, if Facebook is defining the social graph, I would say that Badu is defining the inverse social graph, and that is a place to meet people you don't know. On Facebook, generally I communicate with my friends, family, etc. On Badu, people come to meet new people that they don't know. I've been around for a couple of years now. We just celebrated 2 days ago our 100 millionth user who joined us on the service. This is all off of Facebook, has nothing to do with Facebook. Very global, mostly in Western Europe and Latin America, multilingual, and basically we provide a place where people can come and find an adventure, have an interesting, playful, whimsical style engagement with other people.
This adventure has nothing to do with travel, right?
Nothing to do with travel. Generally, it's very localized. People look to meet. When you really want to translate from the virtual world to actually meet people, you have to be in somewhat of a proximity to each other, same town, and we actually go even narrower and what I would call maybe micrographs, and that is your close proximity. So I bet if I look on Badu right now, not just in Germany or not just in Munich, but within half a mile of where we are, I'll be able to find people that I can go and chat with, and if we hit it off, we'll go and have a drink down the road, have a couple of beers, and who knows what happens.
Great, thank you. Oh yeah, tell us a bit about Family Builder.
Sure, absolutely. So at Family Builder, we basically focus on the family graph. So the general theory is that you have 100 friends on Facebook, 10 of them are family members, so allowing the ability to communicate and interact with those individuals within the Facebook platform. In terms of some of the numbers, we have about 34 million users on Facebook, about 230 million family members added. So in terms of volume, basically, we pretty much exceed Ancestry.com, Genie.com, and some of the traditional players. And in terms of functionality, really a combination of social things, so news feeds, being able to communicate with relatives, and then genealogy features like being able to build out a family tree. The end goal is really to facilitate those interactions within your existing network. So we think that's something that basically differentiates us from the .com players.
Great. So let's talk about a number of topics. Maybe the first one that we'll talk about is the dependency on Facebook itself. Your business is built on Facebook. You live or die with Facebook. How did you think about that dependency when starting your business? Rich?
Sure. So yeah, we do live and die on Facebook, and it's interesting because you've got the dynamic of having 600 million people to tap into, but you're playing on someone else's platform. And for us, it's about communicating with Facebook, so we've got a great relationship with them, and we're definitely in tune with the changes that they make, and they know what we're doing. So I feel comfortable with that. And it's really unprecedented to have the ability to tap into that many people. I don't think we've ever seen this on the web. So for us, it's I believe it's a very low risk with a high return.
So the risk is worth the reward for
Absolutely.
you. Yeah. How about you?
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely agree. I think the risk is worth the reward. I think the main thing is just being able to focus, to have a team that focuses on every single change and being able to prioritize what those changes are. I think the relationship is important, but generally the changes are relatively uniform. So when Facebook announced something, it impacts applications across the board. So an example is the removal of notifications back in March of this year. So just being able to effectively manage those changes and to have a team that really focuses on making those adjustments. And then also having well-developed stats and analytics. Given the huge amount of changes, you really need to be able to gauge what those changes are and to make sure that your numbers are moving in the right direction. So, if you're releasing a new version of the product every week, you have to look at your analytics and make sure that the things are moving as planned. But we found that basically we've been on the platform for 3.5 years. So we found that it's something that's very manageable, provided that you have a team in place that's able to focus on that.
So Badu in itself is an interesting story, right? Because you already had 100 million users off Facebook before you started to do anything on Facebook. Right?
Correct. For us, we were not a Facebook-associated service. We were completely off Facebook, and I think for us it was more of I would say a dare, because I told our founder. Look at everything that's going on Facebook, and you guys are doing nothing. We're not there, and I basically dared him to say, can you do something? And so he spent it's an interesting question of how do you get to so many users on Facebook, but spent a little while there, and we just launched our Facebook application in beginning of December, and within the last 2 months, we've grown from 0 to about 22 million users on Facebook as of this morning, and it's just grown like wildfire. Now, we're not dependent on it. In fact, if you ask us what are we going to do with it, we don't even know yet what to do with this newly acquired asset, but it's definitely, for us, not going to be a situation where we're going to be dependent on another platform. That's kind of a strategic view.
So which brings us to the topic of user acquisition on Facebook. To go from 0 to 22 million monthly uniques just within a time span of 2 months is pretty amazing.
You want to know the formula? How to do this?
The secret sauce.
It's very easy. Basically, what you do is you spend a little time analyzing what everybody else is doing on Facebook. Maybe 2 or 3 days, and then you put into a room a few geniuses of the user experience, and you tell them to make it happen. There's no formula. I can't tell someone how to be a Michelangelo or how to be a Bach. You either are or you're not. So if you have people who understand the user experience and are able to build on it, learn from what others have done, and then be able to analyze your results very quickly and understand the micro changes of, we've changed this pixel 1 to the right, and this has caused this feedback from user interaction, then and understand and have the gut of what to do with that information, then you got yourself a winning formula. But again, it's not something that one can prescribe or provide a recipe for. I will give you one interesting hint that you can do, which has worked very well, and that is we probably have one of the highest rated applications on Facebook. We have about a 4.7 out of 5 stars, and that's something that we paid attention to because from the beginning, when we had 1 review, 2 reviews, we looked at each review that was 1 star or 2 stars or 3 stars, And we contacted each person directly and said, why did you just give it 1 star? What's the problem? How can we help? And when you're very early, when you don't have 50,000 reviews, when you have 100, every good review can be affected. So we've managed to change people's reviews from 1 to 5. And then later on, I think we figured out through that kind of feedback mechanism of what is it that people get annoyed by and what is it that people like. We didn't always change things just because people were annoyed. I mean, that's a call for the product team, but we paid a lot of attention to that, and I think we've got a very good rating in terms of what we've done.
Great. Rick, last night when we spoke, you spoke about the role of super connectors in terms of user acquisition. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we've seen a really nice surge in growth over the last 30 days, I think it's coming from super connectors. So there are two things going on. One,
define a super connector, please.
So in our world, we call a super connector someone who has 800 or more Facebook friends. That would be a super connector. And what we're finding with BranchOut, two things have happened recently. One, the network effect has taken shape, and by network effect I mean the larger your network, the more powerful it becomes. And so people within BranchOut are understanding the more powerful network they have professionally, they want to invite more people and get that power. The second is the right people are inviting others, and those are the super connectors. Again, people with 800 or more Facebook friends. Those are the tastemakers, the influencers. So if you're able to create a quality product that attracts those super connectors, their influence means a lot. So they may have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 Facebook friends. As they invite their friends, and that goes into the activity stream, their friends are seeing that and saying, okay, this person thinks this is something that's interesting, this is cool, I want to check that out as well. And then if you have the right viral loops in place, something that you just touched on, that's when things can really accelerate for you.
I just want to concur. Super connectors are extremely important. Their value is really exponential in terms of what you can do, but I think that impact is true very early on. Once you hit a critical mass, whatever that is, then their value is very diminished. But at the beginning, I would definitely agree with that notion that it's a very strong way of getting the word out.
Great. But let's switch to business models. So from the social games area, we know microtransactions on Facebook work. But what else works? How about subscriptions? How about advertising? Ilya, tell us about your experience with advertising.
Sure. So the main way that we monetize currently is really through serving branded ads within the application, where we basically, given that we have a family application, we have a lot of targeting capability in terms of specific relationships that are added to the app. So, for example, the ability to target, who's a mom, who's a dad, and we're able to approach brands and basically build successful integrated campaigns based on that. And then currently also in terms of other business models, we're currently experimenting with subscription. So Facebook doesn't as yet have recurring payments in terms of credits, but hopefully it's something that's part of their short-term roadmap, and we think that'll be huge. So we think a year down the road, subscription is going to be a viable way to monetize within the platform.
Just going to add, at least we're talking about business models on social graph. At Badoo, the notion was from day one. We are a very highly profitable business, but we make $0 off of advertising. We focus on a couple of things. One is microtransactions, basically people paying us small amounts for small pieces of enhanced visibility, be more prominent on the site, be more findable when people search for you. And also, I would call mini subscriptions. So as opposed to general subscription, you think about, it's a monthly recurring charge of whatever it is, $20, $30. We came up initially with subscriptions that were, I think, €2 a week or something like that. So micro subscriptions, it has changed and evolved over time. But the key thing for us is we wanted to make sure that we are truly a freemium offering, which means one can be a subscriber to the service forever and never pay a dime and get all the functionality, be able to do anything, not get to the point where you actually want to do something and then, there's a barrier, you now must pay for that. It was very critical for our founder and our product team that you'd be able to use the product forever for free, and a certain percentage of people will pay for certain premium advantages, and that in itself can make for a great business. That was kind of our philosophy, and it's worked very well for us so far.
Right. And Rick, what is your experience? What has worked and what has not?
So we haven't turned on the monetization yet. We have two different constituencies. One is the consumer, and I anticipate BranchOut will always be free for the consumer. The second are recruiters. So recruiters being able to source and identify job candidates within BranchOut, and we'll turn that monetization on in the future for both job postings and recruiter subscription fees.
Let's talk about the platform itself. So obviously you're developing on a platform that itself is undergoing a lot of change. What has worked, what has not worked, and what have the challenges been? Any of the three of you?
Sure. So I'd say so in terms of the platform, Facebook basically releases changes on a weekly basis. So I think it goes back to what was said in terms of the focus on details. Moving things a pixel over sometimes will have an impact. So I think it's all about looking at the analytics, looking at the metrics, defining what your core metrics are in terms of the product. So for us, it's family members added, for example, is one core metric that we look at. So even though we may change the product on a weekly basis, that's something that we look at every week on an ongoing basis. So so I think it's being able to define those analytics and having a team that focuses on those numbers, and also being able to prioritize Facebook's changes because they release a roadmap and the changes are ongoing. So being able to prioritize what you have to focus on over the next week as opposed to what you have to focus on 2 months from now.
Rick just mentioned to me that Facebook makes an update every Tuesday, and I think every Tuesday you hold your breath, hoping that nothing will break on your side or on their side.
Well, yeah. So every Tuesday, Facebook pushes a release, and so that's definitely a challenge. That if you play on Facebook, you need to be in tune with what they're doing, and they've got a good developer blog that we follow to make sure that we know if something's breaking, is it us or is it them? So that might be one of the challenges of playing on Facebook. But they're moving quickly. They're not afraid to break things and go fast, and we've got the same mentality.
And how important is it for you to have a contact at Facebook and for you to be in constant dialogue with somebody on the platform itself?
For us, we've got a great relationship with Facebook. We're in contact with them on a weekly basis. And the proximity within Silicon Valley makes it easy to actually get in a car and go down to the office. So I think it's important. Again, things are moving so quickly within Facebook and at BranchOut as well that having people in-house that you can talk to, for us, has made a big difference. And if there's any issues that come up, they've got a direct line to me, which allows us to react quicker.
And I'd like to add, I think that it is a symbiotic relationship between Facebook, the platform, and the app developers and the users. And I think Facebook has realized that. And while I believe, I don't know, I have no insight into that, I believe that huge one-sided intentional changes from Facebook will not come anymore without them talking to partners like yourself or others that impact a lot of users. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a Facebook perspective, and I think if the bottom line for Facebook is to provide a good experience for its users, and the bottom line of its partners is to provide a good experience, then through communication these things will get resolved. We've seen one of the things that surprised me, because my intuition was that early movers on Facebook would have a huge advantage, given network effect and stuff like that. But I'm not sure how many people here remember who were the big winners when Facebook launched its platform. Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Some of them are gone. Some of them who had millions of users day one, they're no longer there. And the fact that Facebook has over time tuned its platform to be more in line with their vision of what the experience should be for users, and has changed things in a banned notification, stuff like that, has not stopped new entrepreneurs from coming up with new ways of gauging user interest on Facebook. And so the bottom line is, if you get a compelling experience out there, if you get a good value for consumers, it'll work for them, it'll work for you, and it'll work for Facebook. So I think that's less of a concern.
Great. Well, one last question, and then we'll open up from questions from the audience. What's the end game for you? Is Facebook the platform on which you have built your long-term strategy, or is merely a vehicle for customer acquisition and a way to get users to your core business, for example, in the case of Badu?
I'll start. So for us, Facebook is the end game. I would not have started Branch Out outside of Facebook. LinkedIn has already done a great job outside of Facebook. So for us, tapping into 600 million person platform that's growing is absolutely our end game. Facebook is in pretty much every country out there and has already knocked down a lot of those doors that allows us to get into countries around the world quickly. So they are our most important partner in our end game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree on our side. I mean, given that our task is really to connect living family members, basically all these individuals have Facebook accounts. So, regardless of whether it's a Canvas application or having some features that are Connect-enabled within the .com, I think being able to leverage the Facebook platform is really the end game for us as well.
Well, what's the end game for us on the Facebook part? Honest answer, we don't know. I mean, it may sound like we've planned this out. There's a whole lot of strategy meetings going on, and this is what we're gonna. We are much less smarter than that. We people, like I said, I dare the founder to do something on Facebook. He has come up with something. It seems to be working. It's growing. There's a lot of possibilities. Do we try to now migrate the users off to our service, to our regular service? And monetize it there the way we do. That's one possibility. Do we bring our business model into Facebook and bring that functionality in? It's another possibility. We haven't the faintest clue. I mean, this is going in 2 months, going from 0 to 22 million has been a hell of a ride in itself. So we don't know what we're going to do with that.
It's clearly worked for you, so I won't worry about it.
Yeah, it's working.
Great. So, any questions for the panelists?
So, is this on? Yes. So, do you think that if you put yourself 5 years in the future, do you think that there is a chance that everybody will be talking about the big bag Facebook, like some of them are talking about the big bag Microsoft for a while, because it becomes this ubiquitous platform and it becomes almost a monopoly position, and you're so dependent on it, and you start complaining about what it means for your business?
I'll give my. Is there a chance? Absolutely, there's a chance. If we're in a world where things move extremely quickly. The biggest company in our world is Google, and then people forget it's 12 years old. I mean, we're very young, and look how quickly companies go from being revered as the do no evil companies to being, oh, this is a terrible company. The notions go very fast from one to another. So, is it possible? Absolutely. 5 years is a long, long time in our world, so don't know.
I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. I think we're all set. It's time for coffee. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you, panelists. Thanks so much.